Hello there gamers, welcome to my fourth review. This time I will be looking at 2004's Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes, which was released exclusively for the Nintendo Gamecube. As most of you know, this is a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid, which was released back in 1998 for Sony PlayStation and 2000 for the PC. The Twin Snakes tells the story of retired soldier Solid Snake, who is brought out for one more mission by his former field commander, Roy Campbell. His mission is to infiltrate Shadow Moses Island to save two high-ranking weapons experts and see if the terrorists that have taken the island have the ability to launch a nuclear missile. Later, as the game develops, it becomes Solid Snake's mission to eliminate the terrorist forces calling themselves Sons of Big Boss, formerly known as Foxhound, Snake's former group. Stealth is your greatest ally in this game, boss fights notwithstanding. The easiest way to achieve your goals is to go unnoticed and undetected by using different techniques such as sneaking and hiding in a variety of objects such as boxes and lockers. However, when confrontation becomes unavoidable, during these times you must utilize all of Solid Snake's combat skills, which range from martial arts and weapons training. Occasionally in the game you have to do something different, such as endure torture or man a turret on a jeep. Gameplay elements from Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty have been integrated into the original game, such as first-person viewpoints for shooting and tranq weapons such as the M9. The enemy AI is also more along the lines of what we see in Metal Gear Solid 2. These have positive and negative impacts on the game, but we'll get to that later. The controls for Twin Snakes are as follows. The analog stick and the D-pad move Solid Snake around. The C-stick slightly changes the camera angle. The A button is used to shoot when armed or grab enemies when unarmed. The B button is used for melee combat. The Y button is your action button. The X button changes Snake from standing and crouching positions. The R button brings up your weapons menu, while the L button brings up the items menu. When Z is pressed, Snake enters first person view, and to use the codec in this game, A and start have to be pressed together. As expected, the Twin Snakes graphically outdoes the original version, although it is not quite up to the standard of Metal Gear Solid 2. Most fans should be happy though that they actually have detailed faces now. Overall, I would say the graphics were satisfactory and it could have been done a lot worse. All the sound stays intact from the original game, with only a few barely noticeable alterations. This means you get the same package of fantastic voice acting and brilliantly composed music. The in-game sound effects are pretty good too. Metal Gear ended up coming to the GameCube after Hideo Kojima, creator of Metal Gear, was asked by Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto to do a game for the Nintendo. It was eventually agreed that it would be a remake of Metal Gear Solid. The problem was that Hideo Kojima was already in the process of producing Metal Gear Solid 2 and Zone of the Enders. It was decided that second-party developers Silicon Knights would mostly develop the game while Konami would deal with cutscenes. Originally, the director of cutscenes had made an upgraded version of Metal Gear Solid, but after inspection, Hideo Kojima demanded that he redo them in a different style, so that gamers had something new to see. Thus we ended up with the over-the-top cutscenes we see in the Twin Snakes. Music responsibilities were shared between the two companies. For a greater understanding of how this game truly developed, we would have to look at the process for making the original 1998 version. Metal Gear Solid was originally going to be released for the 3DO interactive multiplayer as Metal Gear 3. Early production stills for the game could still be seen in PoliceNaut's pilot disc. However, 1995 saw the decline of 3DO, and Kojima jumped ship and Metal Gear Solid 3 to the newly released Sony PlayStation. Kojima had to make adjustments to the game, as Metal Gear was not well known outside the MSX2. So the number 3 was dropped in favour of Solid to go along with the transformation into 3D graphics. In 1995, Metal Gear Solid began production. Nothing would be seen until E3 1997, when a short video was released. A playable demo was not available until Tokyo Game Show in 1998. It is believed that $8 million was spent in advertising for the game, with over 12 million demos shipped out before the game was released. The game turned out to be a huge success, and in 1999 the game's expanded version, Integral, was released in Japan. It came with VR missions, choices in voice cast, more costumes, more difficulties, first-person views, and alternate enemy AI. It would later be released in America as the VR missions and the special missions in Europe. Due to how Europeans had to swap discs to make it work, it can no longer be used as PS2s and PS3s do not support the technology. In 2000, a PC port was also released. More importantly, the success led to the release of Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty on the PS2 in 2001, which also got an extended version released in 2002 called Substance. This was also made available for the Microsoft Xbox and PC. A prequel was made for 2004 called Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and it also had an expansion in 2006 called Subsistence, which became the first available online Metal Gear. The final game in the series, Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, was released this year in 2008 for the Sony PlayStation 3. There have been many spin-offs and unofficial games made over the years to capitalize on Metal Gear's popularity without bringing out a full story or a highly developed game. There has even been an online version released. As you can tell, Metal Gear is more than just a game. Although Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes is good, I would not put it down as a masterpiece, as it does suffer from a few flaws. One of the flaws is that it shows the Gamecube's technical limitations. It should have never have been on 2 discs, although this is more down to the fault of the Gamecube rather than the game. The Metal Gear Solid 2 aspect of the game made the first 2 boss fights really easy, since they were still designed as they were in 1998's Metal Gear Solid. So, Revolver Ocelot you can even defeat by standing still and shooting. Frame rates slow down when too many people are on screen at once, not very good, since, once again, the Metal Gear Solid 2 aspect of the game allows the enemies to call for backup and bring in reinforcements. Another bad point is that you actually watch more than what you play. It's more like an interactive movie rather than a full-on epic game. There should have also been a lot more extras that were shown in the expansion packs for the PlayStation version. There isn't much to do after you've completed the game other than play through it again with the Infinity Ammo bandana or the stealth camouflage. There's also a boss theatre, but that's not really good since you've already fought the bosses. Maybe I'm being picky, but the codec graphics aren't being changed either. I'd have liked them to have been updated. This game does have its fair share of good points though. The voice acting is some of the best you've ever heard. The music also really packs a punch. Together they are really effective. The simple gameplay makes it easier to play than most other stealth titles such as maybe Splinter Cell. The cutscenes are over the top but entertaining. The well-written story and interesting characters keep you involved in the game. You won't be bored anytime soon. The boss fights later on can be very fun. And Psycho Mantis reading your mind is as fun now as it was back in 1998. So now I have to give this game a score. As mentioned before, it has its fair share of good points and bad points. Under normal circumstances, this game would probably get a 6 or 7 out of 10, but this game is so entertaining, I feel compelled to give it an 8 out of 10, since that's what games are meant to do, entertain you. As expected, Nintendo stopped producing GameCube games after the Wii came out, so it's pretty hard to find this game in the stores. However, most good retailers, if they still have a leftover stock of GameCube games, may have one brand new. If failing that, you should be able to get one second hand easily. If not that, you should be able to go to eBay. If you want to get in contact with me to request a review or ask me a question, you can use the email address that's on screen now. For my next review, I'll be looking at something slightly different. It will be this year's release, Audio Surf, which is available on Steam. Until then, see you later.